Welcome to today's episode of Zero to Hero in Zielonka, the map where we are playing the hardest mode that I have ever done in any game, and we are currently in a challenger doing some cultivating contracts September 3rd, running 4-day months at 5 times speed, have to work from daylight to sunset, and I'm only allowed to buy land and properties or productions once I've paid off the £1 million loan that we started with, and starting amount of just £100,000. I'm only allowed to buy equipment when I have nothing leased, and if I lease anything I have to hold on to it for at least 18 months. If I don't return it after those 18 months have passed, I have to keep it for another 18 months, so on and so forth. We are 1 and a bit months in. We obviously started in August, and we're doing all right. We are paying off large chunks of the loan each time I record one of these episodes, which is a good way to do it. Every time we get to 20k, I pay off 5, and then obviously if I have to lease anything out, I have to make sure that I then get back to 20k. The good thing about using Zielonka is that you get lots and lots of contracts. The bad thing about Zielonka is because the fields aren't all that big, you don't get paid that much money to do it. Obviously, there are some large fields, 48, 49, and 52, I believe it is, or 54, are huge in comparison and so do pay really well. We have bought ourselves a plough and we got the small sprayer. We leased out the Challenger and we've leased out the truck for forestry, and we've leased out the cultivator. This is allowing us to make the biggest impact on the contracts, because again, I'm only allowed to do contracts if I own or lease the equipment. I cannot borrow from the contract because the amount you pay out of the contract is just too little. It makes it far, far too easy. As a result, we've been limited to ploughing, spraying, fertilizing, and cultivating contracts, as well as also wood transport, and we do own ourselves a chainsaw so we can do deadwood contracts as well. Gives us a fairly steady income, but I am wondering whether I need to lease out some more equipment earlier to ensure that we can carry on through those winter months. The risk, of course, being that if I lease them out earlier, I'm going to be paying more for longer. But if I leave it until we need them, then I'm going to be stuck in the leasing loop for longer, meaning that I'm going to be spending more money on leasing equipment that I might not be using. It is a pretty tough financial choice, and I really don't know what to do. In the comments of Monday's video, it was suggested that I use the MacDon harvester because it doubles as a mower, giving me more contracts for the grass work and stuff. Whilst this is a really solid idea in theory, I can't remember whether I need to use a separate harvester to pick up the swath. So I can go through, I can swath the grain or whatever for the contract, but I'm fairly sure in order to collect it, I need to go across it again with either a forage harvester or a harvester. And whilst yes, using the MacDon does give me a really nice bonus, I don't think that bonus is going to be worth it to lease out 2 large machines. I would be better off, in my opinion, getting the small, messy Ferguson harvester, which granted only has a small capacity, but it only costs 105,000, with something like the Lizard TARDIS trailer giving me the most amount of yield per crop without having to worry too much about cost. But again, I don't know, because if I lease the harvester, I'm then going to have to lease the header. That's 2 sections, plus I'm going to have to lease the trailer out as well. And whilst, yes, I will get lots of use out of the trailer depending on what I'm using, it does make me a bit dubious. I think it might be better off, since we're going into winter, to lease out the stone picker. Lease out the stone picker in a small trailer, so that I can get through and get all of the stone picking contracts done after we've done all the cultivating and the ploughing and stuff. Assuming we're going to get a lot of them. Like, again, there are a lot of fields on Zielonka, but I don't know how many stone picking contracts I'm actually going to get. And this is the thing I've got to weigh up with every decision I make, is am I going to be able to afford to keep all these leases out, or am I going to screw myself over and make it so I can't earn any money? I really, really don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know which would be the best option. Like the cultivator plow that I own, the sprayer has paid itself in dividends. Like it really has earned its money. It's been fantastic for that. But I don't know what to go for next. We're stuck with the Challenger, which means that we are limited to anything that is 225 or less. Might be able to push it a little bit, but with it only having a power shift gearbox, I don't want to push it too hard, especially since Zielonka is not a level map. As you can tell, the fields are fairly square when they're laid off because it was 22 and they didn't have all technology from 22 that they do now. But as you can see, it is not a flat level map. Like, it is very, very contuitous. I don't know if that's a word. You'll have to check and put that in the comments as well. I've got a lot of thoughts and things going in my head, but the nice thing is that the cultivating contracts, especially if you get one for 48, are doing really well. I would have preferred this to be a ploughing contract. It would have taken me probably the entire episode, but it would have paid double what I'm getting paid for this. And this is paying fairly nice. Like, I think this is paying like 7 or 8, maybe even 9 grand for this one. I've got to predict. I've got to figure out what is going to be. We've only got 2 days left of September. Like, we're at 8 a.m. So we've got the rest of today for September 3rd. We've got September 4th, tomorrow in game, and then we're into October. It's harvest season number 2. So all of my corns, my sunflowers, my cottons. And it's also going to be, you know, ploughing season, cultivating season, into winter, which is just going to be woodwork. Like, no matter what I do, after October, it's going to be woodwork. And I don't know. I think the safe bet is to go for the stone picker. The risky bet is to go for a harvester. And again, if I get it now, I'm hedging my bets and I'm getting it early. If I get it in October, then that means that I've got to wait 18 months before I can take out or buy anything. And that means that I'm going to be stuck with a harvester for 8 months. Be stuck with the harvester for 18 months anyway. So maybe it would be better if I went for a hoe, a weeder, a stone picker. It's all of those out. See what happens, especially with me getting cultivating jobs. I think the hoe and the weeder would probably be a really strong bet. Because that's 5 grand. That's paid for the lease immediately. Stone pickings there as well. Again, we could go for a mower. Small mower would be really handy. Especially since it's September, we could get another cutting out of it. With the jobs that we've currently got up as well, if we can clear all these in one session, maybe buying or leasing them out at the end of this would give me a big heads up, because we'd be using them straight away anyway. I don't know how much it is to lease. We're gonna have to do some math. I think doing that would be better than harvesting. So it costs 5 grand and then 1,000 per work day. Or see that. That's only 2. Only requires 160. So yeah, I think for the amount that we'd get for the initial cost, we could get 2 or 3 pieces of equipment for the harvester. Because, like, the stone picker as well. I really don't like the way they've laid the shop out. I still don't. Like, if we go with the modded one, just because quicker, easier, it's 3. So we could get that and the hoe. We could get the hoe and the stone picker for the same price. Initial cost of the harvester. And stone picking you get in winter. Hoeing you get pretty much all year round. Any that we don't take up early when they plant them, we get later on. We get to use hoeing contracts in September, and then we'll get to use them again in like March and April. And even May, I think. Then June would be harvesting season again. I think that's the play. I think if we get the hoe and the stone picker, that is a better, more worthwhile gambit. Although, to be fair, we lease the hoe, we only have to do we only have to do 1 contract, and we've made that money back, and then we're into profit. Stone picker, we're spending 4 grand if we get the bigger one. And we're only making 2 grand back from the job that's available. But from what I've noticed, stone picking and wood transport, you only get 1 at a time. So you do 1 and then they give you another one. It's rare that you get 2 of the same. What contracts have we got? Mowing. See, like, we could go for a mower as well. I don't know how many grass fields there are. Grass. Because if there aren't that many grass fields on the AI, then 2, 3. I don't know whether 3 fields warrants it. Again, 3 grand means that we almost immediately make our money back. We're going to get the small mower. And the other thing is as well, whatever I lease, because I'm keeping it for 18 months and I'm hoping to get all of this paid off. We got 930 grand to pay still. We can get all of this equipment leased. I can use it on my own fields when we finally do get round to that. It's whether we can get £1 million paid off in that time. But then at the same time, I could also... Obviously, I want to pay the loan off, but we get to the end of the 18 months, like 15, 16 months in. Because it's just land and productions I'm not allowed to buy until the million's paid off. So if I get to 15, 16 months in, and I've still got 400, 500 grand left paid off, I could maybe start saving up for those 2 months and then buy a honking great piece of equipment once all of the equipment I've got has been done. Or do I constantly lease, just end up in this perpetual cycle where I can never ever own anything? Like, have I soft locked myself out of actually owning any new equipment? Am I just forever leasing it? At which point, is that a viable way of playing the game? Would I be able to, even once I've got productions and stuff going, would I be able to offset those costs with value, with production value? Would I be able to get around it? This is why playing challenge runs is really good, because you can see what works, what doesn't work, and what makes it challenging and yet still fun. Like, this is overworking my brain, right? This is making my brain constantly think, churn, and I'm constantly thinking of the next thing and what to do and when not to do it. Again, we're at 8:55, and as you can see, my money's already starting to go down because leasing costs. Means I have to make sure that I'm doing enough contracts to keep it up. Now, because I don't own any land, contracts are continually coming in. Because it's Zielonka and there's like 100 fields, work is never going to stop. So I can steadily pay it off each month. It's just whether I'm happy leasing it. And it goes against everything I like, because I like owning the equipment. I very much play it different to other people who go in land first and they lease everything and then they'll buy once they've got the land. I prefer to buy everything because I do a lot of contracts over spending all my money on land and never owning anything outside of the land. We are going to have to see how this pans out. But I think... I know I keep saying it, but I think I've settled. I think once all these contracts are done, I've paid off another big chunk. And if we're still on 15, 20 grand, I will spend 5 grand to lease out the stone picker and the hoe. And that way we can get more contracts done. Especially because we're in September, which means I can get the 2 hoeing contracts done. Then in October, we'll still get some hoeing contracts done, maybe. Definitely get some stone picking. That should give me lots to do in the winter, then. This is a gamble. If you're watching, pause the video. Put in the comments down below whether you think I'm making the right move or the wrong move. Love to see your thoughts on this. But first, we've got to get paid from 48. To pay off more of the loan. Once I see us less than... once we've paid that first 100k off, it's going to feel like just the hugest, biggest of wins. Okay. 16 grand, right. 71 we're on, aren't we? 71. Where on earth? 71's up there. That's only a little one. It's only a little contract, so this isn't going to take too long. I should have realistically gone to 71 first and then come and done 48. However, I'm stupid, and so I didn't do that. Made it finally to field 71, which looks incredibly like a withered field because I didn't do any harvesting contracts, because I can't buy a harvester or lease one out without the risk of costing me more money. So we're gonna get rid of it and hope that some of these fields get harvested, because it's a lot to watch go to waste. Yep. But hey, they're paying us to do it. If the AI can't be asked, can't be bothered to sit and harvest their field because I'm not doing the contract, then that is very much on them. Very weird programming by the developers of this. One thing I would like to see still is one of the features from Better Contracts that I really enjoyed was the way it separated harvesting and the amount you needed. And I don't know why Giants haven't implemented that in 25. Showing you how much you need to deliver in a viable number, quantifiable amount, so you know exactly what it is you need to do for that You know how much you're getting back. I'm not really bothered about the whole, like, adjusting that. That's whatever. If that's what base game is, that's what base game is. But let us see the difference of what we're harvesting, what we're going to get, what they expect. Because the whole, oh, we're at 80%, so we're fine now, isn't really accurate enough for my liking. And if they don't want you to do that, it's not realistic or whatever, because a farmer wouldn't, you know, only ask you to harvest 93% of his field or whatever it is. But they also don't want to give us 100% in case of things that may affect the yield. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to make it so it's not 100%, tell me how many litres the farmer wants. We're taking... Oh, we've got 76 to do as well. I didn't realise I'd taken 76. I am blind. Okay, cool. So we're doing 76 as well then. Perfect. I am A-okay with that. These fields, cultivating in general, really do pay quite well. Especially when you've got a cultivator that lets you do it seamlessly. One cultivator I'm hoping they bring back to 25 was the Rosamesh K12200. That was my favourite cultivator in the game because it was 12 meters, required a fairly hefty 375 horsepower to run. It was only 100 grand. It was a shallow cultivator. It was no different to the Prolander, except it was made by Rosamesh. It was wider. It was easily my favourite cultivator of 2022. The only reason why the Prolander got my favourite in 25 is because the Rosamesh wasn't there. I don't know if they're going to bring it back as a Giants mod. I don't know if somebody's going to bring it back as, you know, their own mod. But some of my favourite equipment didn't make it into 25. That made me a little bit sad. The fact that I'm fairly sure the JCB Fast Track wasn't an official Giants mod. How do you tow JCB and you give us a wheel loader and not one of the most famous tractors in the world? Make it make sense, please. Please make it make sense. I don't understand. I know a lot of it's going to be legalities. I know a lot of it's going to be, you know, dotting the T's and crossing the I's. But it's still frustrating as a player. Go to play the next iteration and something that you were used to using not being there. Like, there's still a lot of the balers that aren't in. Balers that they added in as base game later on in 22, like the Fendt, the Messi Ferguson, New Holland, the big square baler, they were so pretty. I don't know. It still does feel pretty light on the ground. Like, the game is fantastic. It is an improvement from 22. However, I feel like there's just stuff missing. Doesn't feel wholly complete. But that being said, they are now back off of the Christmas holidays. Means hopefully we'll start getting some mods releasing, including Giants ones, which will make the experience, I'm hoping, a lot better. Or improve. Or at least we can hope. We can hope for that. Okay. Couple more lines to go. I am making a right old hash of this. Please don't judge me on my cultivating skills. It's not my field, not my problem. I'm just hammering it out and hoping for the best. I reckon at 10 o'clock in game that I'm going to go back down to 15.5 grand. Calling it. That's what I reckon is going to happen. I reckon it's going to go 10 o'clock and I'm going to lose all of my money. Because leasing, yo. But I guess we've got 3 in-game minutes to find out. Another bet. Place your bets. Just go back and edit your previous clip. Like, bet 2. Yay or nay? Whee. Okay. We did it. That's not too shabby. So now we've got spraying and fertilizing left again. We do have bale wrapping. We've got another cultivating actually. We'll take that. Okay, 89. Because cultivating pays really well and doesn't require us to thingy it. So we'll do the other cultivating. And then right back and we'll start doing the spraying. Apparent last cultivating job to go. Another field that has just been left to wither by the AI. It is somewhat mildly frustrating here, but what you're going to do, at least they're paying me to sort the field out. No, yeah, and the fields are tiny, so it doesn't really feel that bad. But what I will say is that because they've changed the scaling from 22 to 25, it actually doesn't come across that bad. Like, it still feels, the fields feel bigger. They've obviously upped the scale of everything. So even though this is less than a hectare, it still feels pretty big, and it still means that I'm getting a decent yield out of it as well. Like, well, I am when I'm harvesting it, which I'm not doing yet. Zielonka really is a very pretty map as well. I think the thing that always got me with Zielonka is how many different farmlands you could start with. But at the same time, if you didn't start on New Farmer, then either change difficulty post start or something, you would lose out on that very first starting area, because 22 does this weird thing where if you don't start on New Farmer, it takes away all the buildings. But no starting farm for you, so no buildings that you can see. And the thing that the map that it did it the harshest on was Oberthal. Because even if you did start on a New Farmer farm, you'd still lose half of the buildings. Pretty weird. It would put you on your starting farm on the right hand side of the map. There would be these 2 massive, and I mean absolutely gigantic pieces of land on the left that had traces of buildings that had been there before erased. They're just gone. And I never did figure out how to properly get that back. So if the map maker for Oberthal decides to make a map for 25, one, there will be a map review almost immediately. Two, it will probably become the community server very fast. And three, I will hope that the way that they've done the new farmer and stuff on 25 means that we finally get to see that map in its full glory, because in 25, doesn't matter if you start a new farmer or not, or with a starting farm, the farm is still there. It doesn't disappear. That makes me happy and hopeful, because I have always wanted to know what the starting section 2, if you like, actually looked like. Never got to see. Thought there was nothing there all along. Just put the section of concrete. Oh dear me. Sections of concrete on the ground. Just to confuse and bamboozle us. Which, well, I've met modders and developers before, and I wouldn't put it past them. Does prove a lot what I mean about the scaling. Even though we're not in the Rossamesh, 7.5 meters is still pretty big, and I'm fairly sure that in 22 this field would only take a couple of passes, even if you were just using the Rolander. And I'm okay with that. They're not so big as to not be manageable, but they're not so small as to not be worth it. I wouldn't say that the price hike of the fields is necessarily worth it. Play devil's advocate but once. I get there was a balancing issue, but I do miss how cheap the fields were in 22. I think this field was like 20 grand. Most of them, especially the ones at the top, you could pick up for like 10 or 15. And you could get in, expand super quickly, merge them all, and then just sit and make all of the money all of the time. And my community are never going to let me live down the fact that that's what we did on our community server, and I fluffed it by deleting the community server because I'm smart. Really, really smart. Yep. The smartest, in fact. Aren't you proud of me? Raising the server out of existence entirely. This really will never cease. If you sort out this yawning, I'm hoping, I think I said this in the last video as well, I'm hoping that when summer gets here, and I've improved my sleep schedule and everything, I'm making strides towards already, that because I've got the windows open all the time, I've got fresh air coming in here, it's not going to be too bad. Almost finished the field. I don't think there's any more cultivating. I don't think there will be any more cultivating, but we will of course, check just to make sure. I think there will be other contracts that come up now that we have cultivated it, i.e. more fertilizing, maybe some weeding, maybe even some stone picking. But I don't know if we're going to be getting more cultivating. Oh, we are, yeah. 14 grand, there it is. There she is. Big Mama has arrived. 14 grand would be huge. Because I would definitely be able to, if we can get that one done, I would be able to lease everything out with no dramas. We're up to 20k, so we'll repay another. That's the 10k we didn't get to do the other day, but we do have field 90 to do first, so we'll get that one out of the park. And then I guess we start on field 54. I was not expecting to have to cultivate that one today, but here we are. That puts on nearly 30 grand, which means I would be able to get that and still pay 10 grand off. I will be utilizing steering assist to its fullest potential. I will be putting cruise control on. I will select my row and I will sit there and chill out. Just let it do its thing. But like you look at it and you're like, yes, that sounds like a brilliant idea. And then you look at it again and you're like, that's going to take a while of anybody's money. Like you just know that's going to take forever. I mean, 8-9 took us 5-10 minutes. And that's a tiny field in comparison. Again, sort of, I'm in two minds about whether I'd prefer it to have been a ploughing contract or not, because it would have been double the money. Would have been a 30 grand job, but my God, would it have taken ages. I might just set the steering assist to go, screw it. Nothing but headlands all the way around. Just watch you all lose your mind as I sit and do a really awful job just to get it done quick. Don't worry, not going to do that with the Corvette. There's no point. So some of you are probably already furiously typing in the comments about the Corvette I've been doing today. Wouldn't blame you. Equally wouldn't listen to you either. You know, I wouldn't judge you. I wouldn't blame you for doing that, but I also probably wouldn't care. Nowhere in the rules of this does it say that I have to farm as realistically as possible. I'm just on really hard economy settings with self-imposed rules. And it's a common sense thing with the mods. Like, the TARDIS mod is a little bit cheaty. However, it is also sort of required for solo play. Just to make it sort of bearable, especially if you end up doing veggies or something. With how little storage everything else has, if you didn't use it, you would be there for years. Just forever emptying veggies. Even then, 200k is not quite enough. I've tandemed them up on multiplayer servers, so we've got 2 Lizard TARDIS mods. Just to make it somewhat bearable. Again, this isn't a realism experiment. It's not a realistic playthrough. It is just a exceptionally hard playthrough. So I will be using loopholes as and where I can. Like I say, with mods, it's just a case of using common sense to figure out which ones are okay and which aren't. Like the plow, the Lizard MT6. I mean, it's cheap, which is good. But does it make it too easy? Does it make plowing too good? Ultimately, it don't matter anyway, because I leased out the base game plow. So I decided against using the MT6. Not mad about it, because the MT6 is more expensive than the plow. We bought the plow. I've only used the plow once. So it would have been more money to buy the MT6. And until I had my own fields, it really would not have pulled its weight. I mean, to be fair, the plow hasn't pulled its weight. The plow was a mistake. Spray was absolutely 1000% the right move, but I feel like I should have maybe spent my money on this instead. And bought this instead of leased it. Because I've already easily made my money back on this. And then some. And I would have probably made back the money for buying it too. And if not now, I will have done by the end of field 54. By the end of field 54, I will have definitely made my money back. Oh, show. The only thing I wish with the assisted steering, and I get why they haven't, especially since I have no false feedback. But like, I know the wheel turns on the inside of the cab, right? If I put steering assist on, you can see the wheel turning in game. I don't know whether it's just because I got force feedback off, but you can't see it in this, which is kind of a bit of a game. Contract finished. Any more? Any more for any more? No, I think that's it for cultivating right now. Right, in field 54. Time for the big boy one, guys. Time for the big boy. We have come to the top of field 54, as I feel like just makes life a little easier for me. And we've already got cruise control on. I'm going to get to the corner. I'm going to activate or lower the cultivator, and then we're going to smash it out of the park. Really earn us that 14 grand. So sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride of just massive proportions. Because that is insane. Also, you will have to excuse me. My nose has decided to start leaking. Aren't you glad, as a Let's Player, I've decided to keep the cam on? So you can see all of this nonsense. I've also lost the hat because I was getting a bit wham. So, taking that off. Again, we are losing money to leases. I earned like a grand and a half, which should have put me on 19, and we're back down to 17. So it is having an effect on how much money we're earning. But again, the 14k should take us well over the 30k mark. And then we can get around to leasing stuff, I think. I don't know whether we're going to have enough money, like time to get this done. I don't know whether this is going to be done within the 6 in-game hours. We've got enough time. I think the contracts are like 50 hours left on it. 36, yeah. So we've got enough to not get it done today, because if we go until 6 p.m, that'll be 30 hours left. We take off 13 to gets to like 7, which I think is sunrise in September. Still loses like 13 hours, like a full day to get the field finished. And I don't think it'll take that. We might get it done before the day's done, which would be such a lifesaver. We do have disasters on as well. We could end up seeing a tornado, which would make me cry a lot. It would. Yeah, it would. It would make me cry a lot if we were to get a tornado, even though I don't own any of the land. From what I've heard, they're pretty disappointing. But would be cool if you saw your tractor being swept up and blown away by a tornado coming through. I had such high hopes for tornadoes. I don't know about everybody else. When they said there were like community challenges and stuff, I was like, not even like on multiplayer, but I was very excited because imagine it, you sat there, you're doing your thing, then all of a sudden you get notification from the city. You need to deliver wood and stuff to repair the town. Would have been really cool. I don't know how they'd have done the time sensitive events like that. It would have been cool. It would have made them feel somewhat alive. Right? Would have made the maps feel more alive. Am I missing out on anything really exceptionally awesome? Not really. Forage header. We got a water tanker. And we got the potato planter. I can't buy any of them anyway. But we're not really missing out. Like, the water tanker's alright. Again, the lizard TARDIS is just better. The forage header could have been cool. I don't know. I tell you what I do need to keep an eye out for. My fuel. Not as worried about my health status of the tractor. But the fuel level, that I definitely need to look at. That I most assuredly do need to make sure I have got in the bag. I think starting this contract, nearly an hour into this episode, before editing, was possibly not the best idea I could have had. I was hoping to have, well, I still am, hoping to lease out the bits I need by the end of this episode, but we'll see. One of them things. Waiting and seeing? Who doesn't like doing that? Everybody tells me what their like favorite tractor is, right? And how much they like the Challenger or the Agco, or you know, my personal favorite, the Do-It's Agrostar. Which also really confuses people. Like, where's your favorite tractor? Why didn't you recommend it in your videos? I'm like, because whilst it's my favorite tractor, it's my favorite for subjective opinions. It's not my favorite because it's objectively better. Too many tractors outperform it. Too many tractors outperform it by hundreds, miles of statistics. And as a result, I can't recommend it as the best value tractor. It's good. It's a cracking little tractor. 230 horses. Decent fuel capacity, and it's only like 89 grand. Like, it's such a good bargain. It's nice to see them add some of the older tractors. I'm looking forward to my Case International. Traction King, I think it was called. In the Stego. Traction King was absolutely phenomenal. It's like 310 horses for 80 grand. Such a good deal. Such a good little tractor. It did have a weird bug on 22. Where it gets stuck in first gear. But you could easily just press the button and up it a gear. And make my tractor run the same speed with no issues. But make it sound absolutely horrendous. Pro tip, guys, don't, if you got a power shift gearbox, don't manually override it. Doesn't like it when you do that. And it's like, it's in low enough a range to not, like, it's in the sweet spot, right? So it's not low enough to cause it to go down a gear. It's also not high enough to cause it to go up a gear or sound better in any way, shape, or form. We have done a quarter of the field. That was a horrible turn. That was done way too late. Also, I've just realised that I really want to be coming down here. If I want to do this sort of semi-properly, I want to be coming down here, really. Into the thick of it, making a mess of it, I think the lines I should be doing right now. Oh, we dropped a gear or two. There you go. We dropped a gear or two. Now doesn't sound awful. She is pretty. I will give her that. She is a very, very pretty tractor. I don't know how I used to freehand this as much as what I did. Now it drives me crazy. I think it's because I couldn't see the lines because there weren't none. I didn't use precision farming or GPS mod or anything. So natural. Now I'm base game still, but I've got assisted steering. And the pleasure, the absolute ecstasy, the just sheer glee that I get from seeing that the fields are perfect. Good. Good shit. But like I said, cruise control is being heavily utilized right now. Not AI. Ain't paying for that. But cruise control most definitely is. Problem with that is the main reason why a lot of these turns look a bit dismal is because you stay doing the 15 kilometers because you're at cruise control, which can make it a bit awkward, especially if you lift the cultivator or the plow. Or whatever you're using. And your speed shoots up. You're like, well, I've missed half the field. My bad. Third of the way through. This is the bit where it gets painful, where you sat here and you're just watching. Steering it whenever you can and stuff. Like, it's gonna take a while. I need to get my sleeping pattern in order and better air quality. Both of those things would be ideal. I'm just looking at the money being printed. That's what I'm doing. And probably watching my money go down in 8 minutes time in game. Yeah, give me that mo. Oh, God, no, it's going. Nope, it's going down. To be honest, I don't think it's going down that badly. Probably just a K a day at the minute. Not start any more things. Which would definitely be a problem. You know what annoys me? Another thing that annoys me? They've added the sound of planes, right? Which is cool. I like that. What I don't like is you can't see them. They haven't even, right? They haven't even, which would be infinitely better than what they've done, which is nothing. You know the trails you get, the trails of clouds, the steam and stuff that the jets produce when they go supersonic, and you get them trails in the air. You haven't even added them in. Like, if they added those in, just randomly or whatever, along with those sounds, mate, the immersion would be off the charts. You hear the sound of the plane, you look up and you see the trails. Yes, please. Give me that. That's what I want. Really mundane, random shit, but I want it all. I want it all. I want it now. I think we can do this before the end of the day, no less. 42%. We've got 5 or 6 in-game hours. Oh, we're almost at halfway there. Started at what, 10, didn't we? So it's been 4 in-game hours to get about halfway. It's going to be touch and go, but I think we can. I think we can get it done. And even if we can't, we've got enough time to get it done on the last day. It's just I would prefer to get this out the way so we can then get that spraying and fertilizing done. Well, we're at that seeing point where you see your mentee. Mentor is the dude that thingy. Your student, I suppose, would be a better word to use. The word that you're actually supposed to use. beautiful. It's crazy because you're looking like, oh, that doesn't look too bad, and then you're like, no, actually, that is going to take a fair while. A fair amount of time is going to have passed before we get this field done. It's fine. It's fine because it's going to make us enough money. And the best thing is, if I get these 2 bits done and leased, then we're still in September. Which is, I think, the thing that's key for me is I need to get them leased out and stuff before the end of the month. Otherwise, it, again, just keeps us in that perpetual cycle. Not that I think it's going to matter, because when winter comes, there's going to be something I need. We know there's something I'm going to have to do to keep me running. And that, I don't want to do. Okay. I like how I've missed a bit. Just the smallest spot in the field, look. The smallest, teeniest, tiniest bit. Well, I missed it. Oops. Officially gone over halfway, though. Dan, dan, dan. Beautiful. Like a little lip that I have to do every time, just to make sure that I get every little bit. I passed 1 in game. What else could go wrong? Probably coming up, seeing something really good come in the sale, knowing that I can't get it. That would suck. That would suck a lot. That would hurt. It's what that would do. That would... Yeah, that would hurt a lot. I don't think I would enjoy that. I don't know what would come up that would make me question the playthrough. Like, it would have to be something that would be worth 20 grand or less. I don't have more than that to spend anyway, so it's not like I'm missing out. I'll tell you what, that big weeder, or the hoe. If the hoe comes up, or something like that, that I plan to lease, if that comes up in the sale page, that would hurt quite a bit, because I wouldn't be able to do it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's see how we're doing on here. If we got any more, no bell rapid. Yeah, so I think once we've done 54, we are definitely at the end of the cultivating. 60%. Again, the percentages don't make sense at all. I don't understand how doing two, like, diameters or circumference of the field. That was like 60% of the field or 30% of the field or whatever it is. 2 runs on this was 31%. And then you do a couple of up downs and you don't really get anything. Then you do a couple more and it's like, oh, this is like 5% for this one run. You're like, that doesn't make mathematical sense. That's not right. I don't know whether that is because you like can't do all of the field because the contract won't allow you to, right? Or whether something else entirely. I.e. just bad math. Could just be bad math. Up and down, making the money. It would be kind of epic if I could get away with paying another 10 grand off and also leasing the 2 bits of equipment. But then obviously we've only got like 12 hours of those contracts to get done. So as long as no more cultivating does show up, we can get the spraying and the fertilizing out the way. Which is also going to suck, so I'm going to do that, and then tomorrow I'm going to have to, or not tomorrow, but whenever I record next, I'm going to have to be like, oh, I know what I need to do. And I don't need that. I'm going to have to find another 3.5 grand for fertilizer, I think. I can't remember how much fertilizer we've got left in the spraying tub. Or if we were using herbicide. We might have been using herbicide, which means either way, I'm going to need at least a crate. But if we get a fertilizing contract for 54, well, that'd change everything. A fertilizing contract for 54, going off my math, would be 24 grand, give or take. I reckon it'd take easily 3 tubs to do it. And tubs are 3,200 each. Big. I mean, you're looking at 10 grand just to get it done, plus profit on top. Having contract will be a little less than the cultivating, I think. Because again, you do it quicker and the hoe I've got is wider. So in theory, it shouldn't take as long. So we'll have to find out. %69%. Because I'm a child. And I find that funnier than I should. Fine, it's gone now. Not bothered about Kingston trailer. Like I said, there's very few things that are going to make me upset, but we'll have a look at it. See just what it is we're missing out on. Oh, that. And we've got the riggy track. Lovely little track to this thing. Not really great for much, but it's a cool little tractor. 75 horses, great for like tethering and stuff. Great for grass work. And we've just lost another 2k. Yay! Yippee! More money down the toilet. That puts us decidedly less likely to be able to pay off 2 lots of the loan. We're on what, 925? Don't know, cultivating. 920. Oh, we are so close to paying off our first 100k. So close. I mean, leasing costs is costing us an absolute fortune. Loan interest isn't... That doesn't make much sense, right? Loan interest has gone up. Even though the loan amount stayed the same. In fact, the loan amount hasn't stayed the same. The loan amount has been going down, but the loan interest is going up. Unless that's a combined total, which... I mean, it could be. I still say that loan system needs improving. The loan system could have been so much better. It would make a playthrough like this a little bit easier, a little bit more manageable. I've always said that what you need to do is you need to have, you know, easy, medium, and hard settings, obviously. On easy, it's just a loan amount, no interest, but at the end of every month, the money that comes out goes towards paying off the loan. Dead simple. That's how it should be anyway. Not this, you take a loan out, you pay interest on it every month, but the amount never goes down. Like, that's not how loans work. You know, it shouldn't be off an honor system. So yeah, it should just be, take out a loan, you pay no interest on it, but, you know, you pay an amount every month and then that loan gets paid off by a set amount. Medium should give you a bit more control over it. So you decide the terms. You take a loan out. It says it, you know, you can adjust how much you pay each month. And there's a little bit of interest on top. So the longer you take the loan for, the more interest you pay. And then hard should be the highest interest rates. But again, you get to choose. So you start with no interest. Low interest, but obviously the longer you take the loan out or whatever. And then the highest interest regardless, so you have bad credit or whatever. And if they wanted to go further, they could do it how Virtual Farmer is one of my very good friends, and he does this on his realism experiments where you can only borrow off the land you own. So if you own no land, your borrowing amount is very, very low. But if you own some land, then you put that up as collateral. So it's sort of like a mortgage, essentially. So you say I own land 54, for a perfect example, which is worth... If we wanted to buy field 54, it would cost us 555,000, right? So if you've got 555 grand in equity, you would then be able to loan 10% of that, make it nice and easy. So you would be able to loan 55 grand, right? Based off of the equity that you own. And because you're putting your land up, that means that if you default on a loan, like if you run out of money and you can't pay the interest or the monthly payment, then you lose ownership of that land and they come and like repossess it almost. Right? You either up the limit, you know, you get like a warning or whatever, but something like that. Like they could go really in depth with it and make it really good and really, really realistic. Unfortunately, they haven't done that. And they've kept the same loan system from the last game, which I absolutely hate. I hate and detest that you've got this weird honour system that makes no sense with an interest rate that doesn't really make any sense because you don't know what the interest is. If anyone's worked out what the interest rate per month is, that'd be absolutely phenomenal on how much you earn or like loan out. Because it doesn't really tell you. It doesn't give you any hints or indication of what you're going to be paying or how long it's going to take you to pay it off. Which you can't tell you how long it's going to pay it off because there is no set repayment schedule. Which makes absolute no sense because there's no consequences really if you never paying it back. Like, outside of being maxed out on loans, there's no real consequence to just not paying it back. And a lot of people I know do that. They take a loan out. They figure that the interest rate is going to be less than, say, leasing a large piece of equipment or many pieces of equipment. And then they will either buy land with it or they'll buy the equipment they want and they never pay the loan back and they just make money. Which seems really silly. Really, really silly. Doesn't make any sense at all. Good news is we are smashing this. I was like, oh, yeah, no, it might be 4, maybe 5 o'clock in game by the time we get it done. No. No. It is only 2:30 and we're already at like 88%. We have smashed this field through the park. Like, we have just absolutely caned it. Give me that money. The temptation right now, just to say that I'm below below the 900k mark, to just say screw it and pay off 20 grand when we get this 15, leaving myself really close to the wire. Like, the personal rule of paying off 5 grand every time we get to 20 is not part of the challenge. That's just something I came up with because I felt that would be a really sensible way of doing it. However, the thought of paying off my first 100k loan after doing this field and knowing that we've got more fertilizer and stuff to come, and we can take the stone picking, and we can take the hoeing. That's tempting. That is really, really tempting. Probably going to bite me in the backside, but I think we might do that. I'm still going to be leasing out the equipment, but I think we're going to pay off another 20 grand and call it our first 100k done. It's a little reckless. Well, it's not a little reckless. It's a lot reckless. I know that it's costing me about 4 grand a day. But I think, especially with the hoe, that I can make more money back. This playthrough is either going to make me or break me as a person. And you never know. It could also make me and break me on here on YouTube, because if this video does really well and gets picked up, I mean, that'd be pretty dope. I've had one video on this channel do surprisingly well, and I got to like 24,000 views. I've not really had anything else hit the algorithm like that. I had a couple get to a couple of thousand, but nothing really consistent. So you never know. This playthrough could make or break me. This playthrough could literally See me shoot off to the stars. Oh, ho, ho, ho. 96. We're almost there, look. I can't believe how quickly we've got this done. I genuinely didn't think we were going to get this done tonight. When I saw it, I was like, what have I done? What have I done by taking this contract? But my little challenger and my little cultivator have done me proud. They have done really, really well. And yes, to everybody in the comments, I know damn well that there is a golden apple there. I know that one of the collectibles is on that bin. But we decided that I was going to wait until the loan was paid off before I started using them. Like, so we could... I don't know where all the collectibles are in Zielonka. I know where that one is. There you go. Done. Right. Let's make some magic happen. Okay, so we're gonna complete that one for 14 grand. There you go. Then we want to go in and we're gonna lease the hoe first. Yeah, we're gonna lease the hoe. 36 grand to buy it, but we're not doing that. We're gonna lease it. 2 grand, and then we're gonna lease the stone picker. And pray that this is the right choice. We are getting the big one. We're gonna lease that out. 3.2. And then I'm going to buy another pallet of herbicide and a pallet of fertilizer. I'm not going to buy the herbicide. I'm going to buy the fertilizer first. So that's pretty much guaranteed what we're doing, right? And then we're going to go here and we're going to finally pay off our first 100, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's left us with £2,000 and the rest of the day. So we need, in the next episode, to crack on and get some money back before we go into the minus. Because if we go into the minus, we're in really big trouble. But that is officially our first 100k done. Which means I can now take the other contracts. So now we have the hoeing that we can take. Just 5 grand back, look. 5 grand back immediately. And then we also got the stone picker, so we can take that as well. So we've got 32-ish hours to get all these done. And we've still got wood transport, and we've still got deadwood to do as well. So this is in a really, really strong place now. Also a very, very knife-edge place. Like, this could go really well or it could go really bad. But I am feeling very, very confident. We are a month in. Right? We're near the end of the second month. And we've already paid off 100 grand. If we can do that, within 10 months, we'll be able to start saving and buying land. 8 months after that, well, more 9 months after that, I will be able to start buying equipment as we return the leased stuff. I was a bit nervous about this playthrough, I'm not going to lie. But I'm feeling very, very confident now, the fact that we've managed to pay the first 100k done. Thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. Let me know in those comments down below what you found really exciting. Whether you think I've done right by leasing out the stone picker and the hoe. And I will see you all in the next video.